Homework, wow. I have to watch a TED Talk, so this video will probably get deleted. And this TED Talk only got 2,000 views and no comments. Dude. Good question you just asked. Only 2,000 views. Is that the last video I need to watch? Oh no! That's not the last video. More video, another TED Talk. Seriously. And is this even helping me with my assignment? How many views now? Not as many. About a 10% dislike ratio. It's 13 minutes.
So if I were arrested, here's what they might say about me on the 26-year-old black male, 5'11", dashingly handsome, raised in the inner city by a single mother. My father's been in prison since 1992 on another. Not much hope in this one. He did it. That description doesn't look too promising. As a matter of fact, I couldn't use it to claim great power or privilege in American society. Unless it would be. So what you might not know from those two words is that my mother is a multiple-time teacher here at Houston Independent School District. Her status as a teacher alone afforded me the ability to go to any public school I wanted in the city, so naturally, I achieved the best education in the city. Furthermore, my mother is a college graduate and has a master's degree in curriculum instruction. And my father, while he has been incarcerated for the majority of my life, attended college at the University of Wisconsin on a full basketball scholarship. My parents' status as college attendees alone means that I am far more likely to have gone to college. And it just so happens that I did. I graduated from this fine institution of higher learning, Texas State University, which is the best university in the world. Yeah, we can clap for that. I'm also finishing my master's in curriculum instruction right now. I have a beautiful, amazing, hot wife, and I have 3 beautiful, amazing children. I'm a teacher myself. I get the chance to inspire and empower students every single day. I am black, and I love it. And last, I am dashingly handsome. Hey, how you think I got this gig? You see, what you just heard was not a presentation of the work of God. It was the other side of the question. It was the same information, just viewed under a different lens. You see, through this different lens, I've been able to claim power for myself by viewing my own identities. It's no secret that in the United States of America, that people of color are consistently harmed. Safe to say that economically, socially, culturally, and in terms of education, we do not hold power or privilege in this country. In the words of my man, my best friend, Barack Obama, yes, we can. I want to introduce you to a concept called cultural power. Cultural power represents a set of values, beliefs, and ways of acting that unfairly and unevenly privilege certain groups of people based on past prosperity. The term cultural power was coined in 1988 by the current executive director for education and innovation at Florida International University, Lisa Delpit. Delpit's original intention with the cultural power was to inform instructional practice to show teachers how to teach students of color. So I adapted her message to my own purpose so that I can empower and transform my classroom while at the same time bringing them together. So I hope today to empower you and help you transform your identity. And in the process, bring you some time with you. Guys, we're going to kind of operate today like the Oprah Winfrey Show. Everybody today is going home with something, and you don't have to check on your receipts again. Let me tell you about this. First is a cool kid, cool hair, cool
I know it's already been graded. It's not changing. The grade of it is not changing. Right? It's not going to be changed.
About halfway through the summer, I was met at my summer school classroom by Chris and his mom, and she had that real concerned mom look on her face. You know, when you failed the test and you were home, you were telling your mom you did anyway, or when you came home too late from being out with your friends, that concerned mom look. So I knew it wasn't good. Before I could even open the door to the classroom, she started talking, wasting no time and no words. She told me that I was wasting my time trying to convince her son that he would not go to college, that he was going to play his part, that did not involve me. But I still did. I was convinced that Chris was doing his mother wrong. And then he was changing. A year ago, I got a phone call. And we made that phone call in the middle of Brown University. No, he made it. And he told me that the culture of power was the single most important thing he had ever learned about in school, because he finally knew how to see himself. And he made me promise on that phone that no matter what group of students or people I stood in front of, I would share this message with them. So you guys are not my students. I'm going to keep that promise to Chris. I'm going to teach you how to see yourself. See, I've had the fortune of teaching this lesson in front of two very different audiences. First was mostly students of color in Title I public school. Title I designation, if you don't know, means that many of them are low income. Then I adapted this to a mostly white private school in the heart of Austin, Texas. Students paid $20,000 a year for tuition. See, the only difference in teaching the culture of power to these two different groups of people is the angle of the approach. So each approach helps one audience see its opposite and understand them better. A great and respected teacher of mine once told me that once we stop pretending to be colorblind and we start really trying to understand one another, we will finally be the humans. Thus, understanding equals unity. And unity is about closing the gap between diverse groups of people, which means that understanding is a tool that we can use to close the gaps between people. So here's how that works. For the Title I student of color from a public school, closing the gap looks like telling them, yes, power relationships exist in school and what you guys call the real world. And no, those power relationships often do not advantage people of color. But that doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you're down and out. You can claim power for yourself over your own identities, which ultimately teaches you what it's like to live with privilege in America, humanizing those who do live with privilege, or white privilege as we can call it, which in the end brings us together because now we understand what it's like to be the same. For the white, affluent, private school kid, closing the gaps for them looks like transforming their relationship with their own privilege. Research pointed at power relationships in the workplace and in education to tell us that those with privilege are the least likely and the least willing to admit that they feel pain. Step one, admit that you have. Closing the gap between them and their neighbor by understanding what it's like to live with power. Once you do this, you'll start to achieve what we call unity. A perfect example of this is a student I teach this year named Sheridan. Sheridan is a white girl, and she goes to a Title I public school, or not Title I public school, she goes to a rich private school where she pays $20,000 a year for tuition. But she stands out in this crowd. Where did you start with? You see, Sheridan was born in the Virgin Islands, and she moved to North Carolina, and then to Florida, and now to Austin, Texas. Because she grew up in diverse communities and had her relationship with her privilege transformed on a daily, she leads the way in my classroom as I help my students transform their relationship. Just watching one student who gets it is a great example of how we can start to close the gap between you and the person you're sitting next to. So let's do this thing. Let's do this experiment. Everyone imagine that you're playing a card game. frustrated, you make it through the game. You get to the end of the round and you lose. Chances are, if you play that game 1,000 times, you will lose every single time. You didn't know the rules. It would be easier if somebody told you unspoken, unwritten rules of the game. You may have just experienced your first or your 100th time dealing with marginalization. If this was your first time with marginalization, it's safe to say that you live a privileged life. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not going to attack you. Privilege is powerful when you use it to uplift others. If you are all too familiar with what it's like to feel marginalized, you don't have it. But you're not helpless either. We can teach you to claim power for yourself and for your identity. So let's do that now. I like to use in my classroom, we're going to use today, Peggy McIntosh's theory. Imagine that you're holding a backpack, and I want you to actually hold the backpack. Remember, I told you you're going home with something. Right now, the backpack is empty, but we're about to fill it up. Inside of this invisible backpack, you are going to fill it with all of the positive aspects of your identity. If you can walk, you have power. Put that in. If you speak English in the United States of America, you have power. Put that in your backpack. If you speak multiple languages, you have power. Put that in your backpack. If you have access to education, you have power. Put that in your backpack. If you have somebody at home who cares about you, you have power. Put that in your backpack. Find all of the positive identities about yourself. Even identify the ones that you think are negative, do them in a different way, put them in that backpack. You carry that backpack around with you proudly everywhere you go, because that's not just who you are. It's the best of you. You see, once we transform our mindsets about who we are, we can start accurately thinking about our neighbor who made us. The last step in this process is kind of like Facebook, and I realize my friends tell me that I'm getting old because I don't use Snapchat and Instagram. This one's like Facebook. You don't use Facebook. Get one. On Facebook, you like it, you comment, and you share it. That's what we've got to do with this message. The more people we reach with this message, the better. A student of mine likened this to being unplugged from the nature. Now we have to unplug some of it. Consider this. In this room right now, there are so many gaps. And in those gaps, misunderstandings and preconceived notions wait to separate us from one another. They don't have to. Now there's obviously a gap amongst the privileged and the underprivileged in terms of access. There's a gap between how those two groups relate to one another. There's a gap even within our individual selves concerning the power that we think we have and the power that we actually have. You see, understanding that by claiming aspects of our identity as powerful, we can close those gaps, which means that when we face underprivileged situations, we're not actually underprivileged, because we are powerful. Powerful people overcome. Now is the time. This room becomes like a wedding. See, because you got some power. And you got some power in that shirt. In the middle, you got some power. And in the back, you get some power. And look under your seats, you got some power. And all the way in the hallway, you got some power. Everybody's going home with some power. Put it in your backpack. Thank you.
Am I done watching the videos that are not gonna help me with my assignment? Where on earth? Well, thanks for linking us to an article that we can only get by emailing them to send us a physical copy of the article. Oh my gosh. Rosette. What does the term unearned Provide an example. Why do some people dislike the concept of unearned privilege or deny its existence? Why? How might society eradicate the concept of unearned privilege? I'm just gonna read this PowerPoint thing. That was funny. I wish I knew how many slides there were. Okay. "21 slides. If only they were numbered. If only they were numbered. Can I download this as a PDF or something? Rosette. Time to read this PowerPoint thingy. Nice job. Can't. Okay. Dang it, speak slow. Man, this is so slow. Oh, a picture. Fun. Pictures are fun. Wait, what? Oh. You're supposed to put either earned or unearned. Chris gets a bonus because Chris sold significantly more widgets than Pat in a year. Earned? Lee is admitted to Yale University because Lee's grandparents graduated from Yale. This is an example of unearned privilege. Why focus on unfair disadvantage? What? Wait. Wouldn't it be advantage? Narrow Narrow legal definition of discrimination as negative treatment gives unfair advantage more attention. Increased risk and discomfort for majority and minority of stressing unearned privilege. This is completely hard to understand because of it's like a summary of points that I have not seen. Increased risk of emphasizing unearned privilege. Majority, thinking about it makes majority uncomfortable. Why? Privilege is linked with superiority and indirect benefit from isms regarded as bad. May provoke guilt or denial or anger to avoid guilt. Increased risk of emphasizing unearned privilege. Minority groups become uncomfortable due to just world belief, false idea that people usually get what they deserve. Those who work hard succeed. Those who don't succeed must be slackers. Majority group blaming people of color as a group for their disadvantage as a way for majority to keep its own just world beliefs intact. Why is unearned privilege considered invisible or the norm? Acknowledging receipt. Acknowledging receipt of a benefit one did not earn. Threatens the receiver's self-esteem. Creates fears that receiver's performance. Creates fears that receiver's performance will be viewed less favorably than it was, contradicts values, assuming a meritocracy or system in which the reward for good work is nearly always higher than reward for mediocre work. Why is unearned privilege considered invisible or ignored? Whites who never discuss unearned privilege may unconsciously think what they've experienced is the way it is. For most people, may not be true. Invisible knapsack race. I can associate with people of my own race most of the time if I want. I can perform challenging assignments well without being called a credit to my race. I can never be asked to speak for all people of my racial group. I never have to ask if a negative work situation has racial overtones. I can be fairly sure I won't be mistaken as just a spouse at company social functions or as a secretary at work. I can be fairly sure my networking opportunities won't be limited due to my gender. I can expect that most government officials and top corporate managers will share my gender. Attribution theory. Attribution. Assignment of causes to events or behavior. I attribute getting on the dean's list to the fact that I'm smart and worked hard. I didn't do well on that test. It was really tough for a 1000 level class. Ooh, what a grace. Causes of behavior. Internal, external, stable, unstable. Internal causes of behavior, ability, effort. External causes of behavior, task ease or difficulty, luck. Stable causes of behavior, ability, task ease or difficulty. Unstable causes of behavior, effort, luck. Oh. Don't know. Oh, I already read all this stuff. The task difficulty is external, stable. Effort, internal, unstable. Ability, internal, stable. Luck, external, unstable. Why attribution theory leads majority to minimize their privilege. People tend to take more credit than they deserve for success and less responsibility than is warranted for failure. This protects them against damage to self-esteem. Internal/external and stable/unstable attributions. I received the award. Oh, you're supposed to match the one to the other one. I received the award because I worked so hard. So hard. I blew the mock interview. It was just bad luck that I had to be interviewed first. No wonder I didn't get the job. No one could work for Pat. She's just too demanding. I got the first chair in the flute section because I have a lot of musical talent. I got that job because I had more relevant skills and a better education than other applicants. Women's success is more likely attributed to unstable external causes, e.g. luck. Women's failure is more likely attributed to internal stable causes, e.g. ability. Attributions for success and failure tend to be the opposite for men. Implications for women wanting to succeed in marriage. Racism. Of inequity based on race. Race is biologically insignificant, but society has differentiated based on race. People are born into a system of racism. They can't help it, but they can help what they do or don't do to try to change it after becoming aware of the depth of the problem and its consequences. Communism, racism, traps, bigotry, trap. I don't belong to a white supremacist organization, so I'm not racist. Innocent traps. Neither I nor my ancestors deliberately acted to harm people of color, so I'm innocent. Anti-racist experts say these are excuses for not hoping to deal with racism. Flashback. In the past 5 years, 85% of whites in the United States said black children had equal opportunity. 63% of white adults said blacks and whites were treated the same. These percentages were virtually identical in 1962 and 1963, when racial segregation was just ending and employment discrimination was still legal. Whites usually think racism is less of a problem than racial and ethnic minorities do. And that's it. That's the whole thing. Oh man. Well, that was something. That was a thing. They don't even really give a definition of that. I mean, they don't really define it though. They don't actually ever give a definition of unearned privilege. Man, this is hard. Well, actually, the slideshow does answer number 2. I can pretty easily get number 2 with just the slideshow. 3 is just an opinion-based question. 4, how might society eradicate the concept of unearned privilege? Give an example. I need to find a source. That's funny. Oh crap. Well, I'm going to cite the slideshow as a source. And then do I need the textbook? I don't think the textbook even talks about unearned privilege. Or at least the diversity in the workforce textbook. Does this ever talk about it? I don't remember seeing it anywhere in there. What about privilege? How about... Hey, look, they actually do have a definition of it. Right here, they have a definition. What chapter? This is like chapter 8. Window. Oh, dang it! Go back! Back. No! No, go back! I have to look it up again. It's in chapter 8. Clearly, I'm stupid. Above. Good. Privilege refers to the rights, benefits. Well, this is here's a source. I could use this as to answer number 1, but this is just talking about privilege. Although privilege and unearned privilege are basically the same thing in this context. Refers to the rights, benefits, and advantages automatically received by being a member of the dominant group, regardless of intentions. Also, it went to 164 too. The page number doesn't own. Oh, it's probably here, yeah. Privilege, the rights, benefits, and advantages automatically received by being a member of the dominant group, regardless of intention. Now let's see if they have the word unearned privilege. They probably don't. Under United States, and no, don't. But at least that's one source of answering that question. So if I want to use that, but now here's a fun. Why on earth can't I access this article for free on like Google Scholar? Well, it's probably not. Like, I'm just curious. If I went to Google Scholar and typed that, would it come up? But I wouldn't use it because yeah, this is a PDF. This could possibly not be the right one. This is not the full article, is it? Oh no, it is. It ends right here, or here. Is this the same one? It's literally a photo of a textbook. Scanned. Yeah. It's too hot to wear this jacket. Man, why can't I use this? Can I use this, please? I know, but I searched it on Google Scholar, therefore it's credible. Dude, there's literally... Look! JSTOR has a copy. That's like a credible source, isn't it? Wait, why is there a quote at the top? Through work to bring materials from women's studies into the rest of the curriculum, I have often noticed men's unwillingness to grant that they are overprivileged. I have often overprivileged, even though they may grant that women are disadvantaged. Even there's 26 different points here. Nope, this one has... Holy, this is different. This has 50. Whoops. What just happened? Why does this one only have 26 things and this one has 50? I repeatedly forgot each of the realizations on this list until I wrote it down. Also, this list has 50 things, whereas this one only has 26. So that's the difference between the two. Let's look at like the last couple of paragraphs or something. Although systematic change takes many decades. Whoops. I don't see that paragraph at the end of it. Though systematic change. Oh, never mind. This is not the last page. This one is. Though systemic change takes many decades. Although systemic change takes many decades, that's a bit of a... There are pressing questions for me, and I imagine for some others like me. If we raise our daily consciousness on the prerequisites of being light-skinned. Are we going to get points off if we use one of these ones instead? This is... What about this URL? Oh, what just happened? Crap. Okay, If you search for this on Google Scholar and find it, how about we look at Rosette? Unearned privilege. How about we search Google Scholar for Rosette? We have a bunch of sources, folks. Oh, by the way, Professor, this article that you're linking was not written since 2016. It was written earlier or something. When was that written? Does it say in this website here? The Invisible Knapsack. This is from freaking 1989. You are allowing us to use that source even though you said that we have to use recent source. Come on. It obviously, this is very heavily implying that you have to, that they're going to send you a physical copy, which I would not be able to get in time. So I'm screwed. That's so funny. Okay. And I did find a couple of them online, but obviously this is claiming that they're all inaccurate. Well, not all of them, but. Why can't we just use one of the ones online? If we don't have time to use this one, why can't we just use one of the ones? Okay, whatever. Separating, perceiving social inequity. When subordinate group positioning on one dimension of social hierarchy enhances privilege recognition on another. Maybe this one? Try this. Bye.